Discovery with Miss Natalie. That's me. So this morning I read a story all about Pete the cat and a missing cupcake. So I thought that it would be pretty fun this afternoon to make our very own cupcakes, which you can use for your mom on Mother's Day on Sunday. So we're going to make a vanilla cupcake today, and then we're also going to make our very own frosting that we're going to dye with different colors, and then I will show you how you can put that frosting onto your cupcake so that you can give it to your mom on Sunday. So the first thing that you're gonna want to do is grab a cupcake pan. So I'm gonna use a 12-hole cupcake pan, but if you have a bigger one or if you have a 6-hole cupcake pan, you can do it in different batches. And then go ahead and grab any cupcake liners that you would like to use. So I'm gonna use these red with white polka dot ones, but you can use whatever color cupcake liner you would like. And you're gonna go ahead and take one and put it into one of the holes in your cupcake pan. And then you're gonna keep doing this until every single hole is filled with a liner. There we go, just like that. So now I have a cupcake liner in every single one of my cupcake holes. And then the next thing that you're going to want to do, and you might need your mom or dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle's help for this, is you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So I already preheated my oven. It's gotten warmed up and it's ready to go for whenever I put my cupcakes in. So that's what you're going to want to do, because while we're making our cupcake batter, your oven can get nice and hot so it's all ready to go for when we're done with our batter. So go ahead and put your cupcake liner to the side, because we're not going to need it until we're ready to start putting our batter into our liners. And then the next thing I'm going to do is tell you what ingredients you're going to need. So now this recipe will be on our website at heparks.org. So again, ask someone to help you go online and find the recipe. It will be under the preschool lesson tab, and it'll be under vanilla cupcakes, and you can click on there and print out this recipe so that you know exactly what you're doing. But what you are going to need is you're going to need flour, just all-purpose flour. You're also going to need granulated sugar. We're also going to need vegetable oil. You're also going to need baking powder. You're also going to need salt, just regular table salt. And you're also going to need milk. I'm using whole milk, but if you have a 2% or a low fat, that works as well too. You're also going to need vanilla extract. And you're also going to need 1 cup of water. And then the last thing that you're going to need is 2 eggs. And those are all the ingredients that we're going to use to make our cupcake. I'll tell you about the frosting ingredients a little bit later, because we are going to make our very own frosting that, like I said, we're going to put different colors in there, some food dye, so that we can make fun colored frosting. But I'll tell you what we're going to need for that a little bit later. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is grab any large bowl that you have, because what we're going to do is mix all of what we call dry ingredients first. So these are the ingredients like flour, sugar, baking powder. We're going to mix all of those together first so they can get all nice incorporated before we add them to any of the other ingredients. So go ahead and grab a large bowl. You're also going to need a whisk, and this is what a whisk looks like. Mine has rainbow colors on them, but if you don't have a whisk with rainbow colors, that's okay. Just find whichever whisk you have in your house. Again, ask someone to help you while you're doing this. And then we're going to go ahead and start putting in all of our dry ingredients. So the first one that we're going to do is we're going to use our flour. And now we're going to grab our measuring cups, which I have right in front of me, and we're going to need 2.5 cups of flour. So go ahead and find the measuring cup that says 1 cup on it. Again, if you need someone to help you find which one says 1 cup, go ahead and ask someone to help you. And then you're gonna scoop out 2 of these, okay? So go ahead and put that into your flour. Fill the entire thing with flour. And then you're gonna pour that into your large bowl. Do that again. We're gonna do 1 more of our big 1 cup. And go ahead and put that into your bowl. Now you need to find your measuring cup that says 1/2. So you'll see on your cup, it'll have a 1, and then it'll have a slash, and then the number 2. So again, ask someone to help you find your measuring cup that's for 1/2 cup. Here is mine, and you're gonna take 1 scoop of flour from your 1/2 cup. So go ahead and put that into your flour. Fill that all nice to the top, and then go ahead and put that into your bowl. And there we go. We have all the flour that we need for our vanilla cupcake. So go ahead and put your flour to the side. Now, you are going to get a little messy when you make this, okay? And that's okay. So I usually just keep a dish towel next to me, and I'll just wipe everything to the side and clean it up a little bit later, because it's very important to keep your cooking area nice and clean so that we're not mixing anything together that shouldn't be mixed together. So there we go. We have our 2½ cups of flour in our bowl. The next thing we're going to add is our sugar. So go ahead and grab your granulated sugar, and we're going to put 2 cups of granulated sugar in with our flour. So grab that measuring cup that says 1 cup on it. Here's mine, and again, we're gonna put this in 2 times into our sugar. So go ahead and grab 2 cups of sugar, and make sure you fill your sugar all the way to the top. So here's 1 cup of sugar. And 2 cups of sugar. There we go. So there's all of our sugar and our flour put together. So now the next thing that you're going to want to put in here is the salt. So go ahead and grab your salt. And for salt, we are going to need 1 teaspoon. So look in all of your measuring cups and find the one that says 1 teaspoon. Again, ask someone to help you, because on the spoon itself, you'll see the letters T, S, and P, and that stands for teaspoon. So find the one that says 1 and then TSP. So here's mine. I got my teaspoon ready, and we're gonna put in 1 teaspoon. So grab your salt, pour it, and be careful because salt comes out pretty fast. Pour that into your teaspoon, and then put that into your flour and sugar mixture. And that's all you need for salt. The last thing that we're going to add into our dry ingredients bowl is the baking powder. So grab your baking powder, and we're gonna put in 3 teaspoons of baking powder. So go ahead and grab your teaspoon again. Remember, it's the one that has the number 1 and then TSP on it. And then you're gonna put 3 teaspoons of baking powder into your bowl. So here we go. 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, 3 teaspoons. So now that you have everything in your bowl, you're gonna grab your whisk and you're gonna whisk it all together so that everything is nice and mixed. And this will help when we start adding all of our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients, so that we're not putting just one thing at a time, because that will make it so that the batter doesn't mix nice together. Perfect. Go ahead and tap off your whisk a little bit, and then put that to the side, and we'll be back to that in a little bit. So now the next thing that we're going to do for our vanilla cupcakes is we are going to mix all of our wet ingredients together. So for this, I am going to use my stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can always use a hand mixer. And if you don't have a hand mixer, you can use just a whisk. It'll take a little bit longer to do, and you are gonna have to use a lot of muscle to get it all mixed together, but it will work. Again, if you have a stand mixer or if you have a hand mixer, ask somebody to help you so that you don't make a mess anywhere, and then they can also help just turn it on for you and plug it in. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and I'm gonna grab my bowl for my stand mixer, and we're gonna add in all of the wet ingredients. So these are the ones that are like the milk, water, vanilla extracts, the ones that are liquids we're gonna put into this bowl. So the first thing we're gonna put into our bowl is 1 cup of milk. So go ahead and grab your measuring cup that says 1 cup on it. Ask someone to help you if you need help. Grab your milk. And now this may be a little hard because if you have a big milk like this, it's pretty heavy. So if you need someone to pour it for you and then you can pour that into your bowl, maybe ask someone to help you do this step. But you're gonna take your milk and you're gonna fill up your 1 cup. There we go. Now you gotta be super gentle when you're moving your measuring cup because we don't want any of the milk to spill out. So go super slowly, go over your cup and a little bit in, and then you can pour it all out. There we go. So now we have our milk in our bowl. The next thing that we're going to add to our wet ingredients is vegetable oil. So for vegetable oil, we are going to need a 1/2 cup. So look at your measuring cups and you're gonna wanna find the one that says 1/2 cup. So find someone who can help you get that measuring cup, and we're gonna fill this one with our vegetable oil. Again, if you have a big vegetable oil like me, it might be a little hard because it is a little heavy. So ask someone to help you pour that into your measuring cup. And you're gonna wanna fill it all the way to the top. There we go. And now just like we did with our milk, we wanna be super gentle when we're moving our measuring cup because we also don't want any vegetable oil to spill out. So go super slow, move it over your bowl, and then go ahead and dump that on in there. So now the next thing that you want to add into your milk oil mixture is vanilla extract. Okay, so go ahead and grab your vanilla extract, take it out of the box, it's still in the box, and we are going to want 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. So you're going to look through your measuring spoons and you're going to find the one that has the number 1 and then the letters TBSP. That stands for tablespoon. So ask someone to help you if you need help finding your tablespoon, and we're gonna put 1 of these into our bowl. So go ahead and open your vanilla extract and you're gonna pour your vanilla extract into your tablespoon. Again, be slow and gentle because it is liquid and we don't wanna make a big mess. So pour that in, 1 tablespoon. Fill it all the way. So again, go super slow so nothing spills out, and you're gonna put that into your bowl. And now the last thing that we're going to add into our wet ingredients right now is eggs. So we're going to need 2 eggs. So I have my 2 eggs in my little bowl here. And then you're gonna crack the eggs right in, but when you're cracking them, make sure you're careful because we don't want any of the egg shell in our batter because that won't be very tasty to have a crunchy eggshell when you're eating your vanilla cupcake. So go ahead, and when you're cracking it, I like to crack the egg on a side, not on the side of the bowl, because if you crack an egg on the side of the bowl, there's more of a chance for an eggshell to get into the egg itself and then also into your bowl. So it's better to just crack your egg on your side because then you're making a flat surface and it's easier for you to open it up when you're putting your egg into your bowl. So go ahead and gently just crack your egg on the side of your counter. You're gonna open it where the crack is and you're gonna let the egg into your wet ingredients. And then you're gonna do the same thing for your other egg. Now that's all the wet ingredients you're gonna need for your bowl right now. So the next thing we're going to do is, if you're using your stand mixer, is go ahead and put your bowl, again, ask someone to help if you need help, into your stand mixer. And now for your attachment, if you are using the stand mixer or hand mixer, make sure that it's the whisk one. So it'll look like that. That's the one that you're going to want to use. Same thing if you're using the hand mixer, make sure it's the little whisk attachments that look like this. Attach that, put that down into the bowl. Now you're gonna wanna put it on the slowest setting to start with, so just move it one notch. Same thing if you were using a hand mixer, put it on number 1, the slowest one first, so that we can start getting it all mixed before we start turning it up a little bit, because we don't want egg and milk and vegetable flying out of our mixer all over the place. So just turn it on to 1 and mix it up till everything is mixed nice and good. So now that we've had it on for a little while, you can turn it up to number 2. And when you're looking at your mixture, you want it to keep going until you no longer see the egg yolk. That's a good way to tell that it's all mixed and it's ready to go for our next step. Okay, now everything is nice and mixed together. Let the whisk drip off a little bit. If it drips a little bit on your mixture, that's okay. You can clean that up a little bit later. Now you're going to take your bowl out of your stand, and it should be kind of like a yellowy color. And now what we're going to do is we're going to mix our dry ingredients with our wet ingredients. But we're going to do this in stages because for 2 reasons. 1, it'll help your batter mix better together if we're doing it in 3 different portions. And the second reason why you don't want to add all of your dry ingredients into your wet ingredients at the same time is because if we dumped all of this dry ingredients in here and turned on our stand, we would have flour and sugar, baking powder everywhere, because this stuff takes a little while to incorporate into our wet ingredients before it stops becoming so fluffy. So we're going to do 3 different pours of our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients. So what we're going to do is we're going to put just a little bit of this into our wet ingredients. So pour just a little bit in, just shake at the edge. And then we're going to put our bowl back on our stand, or grab your hand mixer again. And then again, only turn it on to number 1 because we don't want any of our dry ingredients to fly out of our bowl anywhere. So go ahead and turn that on and let it stir, stir, stir so that all of the mixture can get incorporated nicely so you no longer see any of the powder. Okay, so now that it's mixed a little bit and we can no longer see some of the powder, go ahead and turn it on to number 2 and let that mix for a little bit longer. Perfect, so turn it off, and we're going to do the same thing. Take our bowl out. Again, if any of the liquid drips onto your stand, that's okay. We'll clean it up a little bit later. Now you might see some flour still stuck to the side of your bowl. We're going to clean that up a little bit later, so go ahead and leave it for now, and we'll take care of that a little later after all of our dry ingredients has been put into our bowl. So now we're going to do the same thing that we just did, and we're going to add another portion of our dry ingredients to our wet. There we go. So now we should only have a little bit left in our bowl to add. And we're going to put this back on our stand. And then the same thing that we did before, we're going to start on number 1, let it incorporate so we can't see any more flour, and then we'll move it to number 2. Okay, so now all the flour, salt, sugar, again, has been incorporated. Let it drip off your whisk a little bit into your bowl before we just take our bowl off. All right, So now grab your bowl, and we're gonna add all of the rest of our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients. There we go. So now my bowl is completely empty, and we're gonna do this one more time. Put this bowl back on the stand, or grab your hand mixer, or if you've been doing this all by hand, good for you, because that's really hard to do with your whisk, because you gotta use a lot of arm muscle to do that. And now start on number 1, wait till you see all of the flour, sugar, salt has been mixed in, and then for this last one, we're gonna move all the way up to number 3 for our speed on our whisk, so that we can really make sure that all of the flour, sugar, and salt, baking powder is incorporated into our wet mixture. And what you want your mixture to look like is very smooth. You don't want to see any lumps or bumps in there. So keep your mixture on number 3 until it's no longer lumpy. And then what we're going to do is add a little bit of water to help with our batter not being so thick. So let's go ahead and turn on to number 1. Wait till all of the flour has been mixed in and you no longer can see it, and then move all the way up to number 3 for about 2 minutes so that everything is fully mixed. Okay, so now that we've stirred all of our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients together, we have our vanilla cupcake batter, but it is a little too thick to put straight into our cupcake pan. So what you're going to want to do is get 1 cup of water. Now I've already pre-measured mine, and I'm using this measuring cup because it has a spout on it. See the spout? Because of this spout right here, and that's going to help us when we put our water into our stand, because we're not going to take the bowl out again. We're just going to slowly pour our water into the batter on a low setting. So we're just going to put our mixer on number 1, and we're just going to slowly add the water into the mixture. And if the batter looks really thin, don't worry. It'll still be a good vanilla cupcake because of the baking powder that we put in here. Because baking powder helps batter rise when you put it into the oven so that you get that nice fluffy and big cupcake, which is what we want. So go ahead and first turn on your mixer to number 1, and then we're going to slowly pour our water with our spout into the bowl, and make sure you go pretty slow. You don't want to put it all in at once, because then it'll be harder for it to mix in and incorporate with our batter. So go ahead and turn your mixer on, and then start pouring the water into the bowl. Once all of your water has been added to your bowl, you're going to leave it on setting number 1 for about a minute to let it keep stirring and mixing in the water in with your batter. And like I said, it is going to be very thin batter. So don't be concerned. I promise it will still be a nice big fluffy cupcake when we're all done. So go ahead and let that mix for about a minute until everything is nice and combined. Okay, so now we have all of our water nice and combined in our batter. We're going to go ahead and take our bowl out of our stand, or if it's already in a bowl and you've been using a hand mixer or yourself and you've been whisking, you can go ahead and put your whisk hand mixer to the side. All right, grab your bowl. And now what we're going to do is, remember when I said if you might have a lot of flour along the edge of your bowl that we would handle that later? Well, now we're going to go ahead and get rid of that that's on the edge. So you're going to grab something called a spatula. This is what a spatula looks like. Typically, it's on a wooden or a plastic stick, and at the very top it has this rubber part on it. Mine says, "Eat dessert first," which I fully agree with. Yours might just be a blank one. I have some others that are just blank ones. Just like that. And then what this helps us do is scrape down all of our sides so that we can get all of the flour off the side of the bowl. So grab your spatula and you're just gonna spin it around the side of your bowl so that you can get off all of the flour, sugar, whatever was left over on the side of your bowl, and you can mix it in with your batter. Just like that. Okay, now scrape your spatula on the side. And now you can put this to the side because we don't need this anymore. Now we get to the fun part, which is fill our cupcake pan. So go ahead and grab that cupcake pan that you put all of your cupcake liners into. Now, like I said, I'm using a 12-hole cupcake pan, which for this batter probably isn't going to be enough because this batter typically makes between 18 and 24 cupcakes, which is a lot of cupcakes, but that's okay because who doesn't love them? So you might have to do it in 2 different portions, okay? So what I like to use for when I put my batter into my cupcake liners is an ice cream scoop. It makes it so that every single one is the same amount of batter, but then it also makes it a little easier to pour in. If you don't have an ice cream scoop, that's okay. You can just use a really big spoon and it'll do the same thing. You just might have to put more than 1 scoop at a time into your liner. Now we don't want to fill our cupcake liners all the way to the very top because remember I said the baking powder in our cupcakes makes it get big and fluffy and poofy. And if we filled them all the way to the top, then we would have cupcake overflowing and it wouldn't be a nice round cupcake like what we want. So we're only going to fill our cupcake liners halfway, which with an ice cream scoop is usually just 1 scoop. And that is a perfect amount. If you're using a spoon, make sure it's a pretty big spoon, and it'll be about 3 scoops of this to make it so that your cupcake liner is halfway. So go ahead and grab whichever spoon or ice cream scoop you're using, get some of your batter, and then pour it into your cupcake liner. Just like that. And then you're gonna keep going until every single one is filled. Okay, so when you have your batter in all of your cupcake liners, it is ready to go into the oven. Now remember, at the very beginning, we preheated our oven to 350 degrees. And at this point, your oven should be nice and hot for your cupcakes. Now I would say have someone help you put your cupcake pan into the oven because it is very hot and I don't want you to accidentally burn yourself. So if you want to grab your mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle to help you put your cupcake pan into the oven, that would be a super great idea. Now we're going to put our cupcakes in our oven for about 16 minutes. And I'm going to give you a little hint on how you can tell if your cupcakes are done. So you can take a toothpick or a bamboo stick, anything like that, and you're gonna put that right into the middle of your cupcake, and when you pull it out, you shouldn't see anything on your toothpick or bamboo stick. It should be completely clean. If you start to see any batter on your toothpick or your bamboo stick, then your cupcake's not done and you need to put it back into the oven for another 2 minutes. And if your cupcakes don't look golden, that is perfectly fine, because sometimes when cupcakes come out of the oven golden, that means they've been overcooked and they're a little burnt, and we don't want that because the cupcake will continue to cook in the pan for a little while even after you take it out of the oven. So if they come out and they just kind of look a little yellow, that is a perfectly good cupcake. Okay, so let's go ahead and put them into the oven. Let them cook for about 16 minutes, and then we'll take them out and then I'll show you how to make our frosting. Welcome back. So how did your cupcakes turn out? Are they all good? So like I said, when you're making those cupcakes and when you bring them out of the oven, they're going to look like that. So you'll see that they aren't really golden brown. They're more just of like a yellow white color. And that's what you want. You don't want your cupcakes to be like a golden brown or just brown on top, because that means that they're a little too cooked. All you want is to make sure that all of the batter has been cooked that's on the inside. So I always use a toothpick, just like this one. And then I just put it into my cupcake, right in the middle, go all the way down, and then come all the way back up. And what you want is you want to have not much on it. So you can see that there's just this little bit of batter right here, but it's cooked batter. But otherwise the rest, there's nothing on it. So that means that my cupcakes are completely done. So you're gonna let them cool in your pan for about 5 minutes, which is what I've done. And then once you've done that, have someone help you. Same thing when you're taking them out, make sure someone else took them out of the oven for you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to transfer those cupcakes onto a cooling rack. If you don't have a cooling rack like what I have, you can just put them down on a kitchen towel, just like a kitchen towel. Put that out, make sure it's a clean kitchen towel. And you can just put the cupcakes on a counter side on your kitchen towel. That'll work too. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab out my cupcakes, put them onto my baking rack. And this is so that they don't keep cooking and they have time to cool. Because the pan itself is still pretty warm. And when they're sitting in those little holes, all of that heat has nowhere to go because it can't escape anywhere. So it just goes straight back into the cupcake. Well, we don't want our cupcakes to keep cooking because then they won't be nice and fluffy, which is what we want. So grab those cupcakes, take them out of the pan, just like that. And now we're all done with our baking pan. So we can move that to the side. And we're also gonna move our cupcakes to the side and we're gonna let them keep cooling while we make our frosting, which is my favorite part. I would say I like frosting more than I like the cupcake. Do you like cupcakes more or the frosting? I bet some of you like the frosting just like me. So now we're going to make our frosting. Now we're going to make a frosting that's called a buttercream frosting. It's called that because the main ingredient, besides obviously the sugar, is butter. And that's what we're going to put into our mixing bowl. So for buttercream frosting, what you are going to need is you're going to need powdered sugar. You're also going to need unsalted butter. You're also going to need vanilla extract. And then the last thing you're going to need is heavy whipping cream. So the first thing that we're going to put into our bowl is our butter, and we need 1 cup of butter. It's easier if you use the butter sticks rather than the spreadable butter that comes in the tub, but make sure it's the unsalted butter. You can get salted butter, but believe me, you don't want to use the salted butter because then your frosting is going to taste extra salty, which I don't think you want. You want it nice and sugary and sweet and delicious. So make sure you grab the unsalted butter. So you're gonna unwrap your butter and make sure that it is air temperature butter. So what I usually do is I'll bring my butter out of the fridge while my cupcakes are baking so that it has time to soften up a little bit, because you want soft butter. You don't want hard butter straight out of the fridge because that butter won't mix very well in with the sugar. So make sure it is air temperature, and then we're gonna take a knife. I'm using just like a butter knife. If you want to use a plastic knife just to be a little safe, or if you want someone to help you cut this up into little cubes for you, make sure that you're being extra safe when you're using your knife or you have someone helping you. And then you're just gonna cut your butter into little cubes so that they look like that. Little butter cubes. You don't want them too big. And then those are gonna go into our bowl. So go ahead and keep cutting up your butter into little cubes so that it's easier to mix. Okay, so now that we have our butter in our bowl, we are gonna go ahead and put it back into our stand mixer. And if you are using a hand mixer, you're just gonna use your hand mixer. If you're using a whisk, this will be pretty hard and you're gonna have to use a lot of muscle. So make sure if you are using your whisk that your butter really is room temperature, because otherwise you're not gonna be able to spin and whisk it up. So make sure it is super soft butter to make it easier for you to whisk if you're doing it by hand. And now go ahead and turn on your hand mixer or your stand mixer, and you're going to turn it on to number 2. And what you want is you want all of the butter to kind of incorporate and no longer be individual little chunks. It is going to stick to the side of your bowl, and that's okay because we're going to wipe it off with a spatula a little bit later. So go ahead and turn it on to number 2, and you're going to mix it for about 2 minutes to make sure that all of the butter is no longer cubed and it is all one piece of butter all together, nice and whisked. Okay, so now that we've whisked our butter, the next thing we're going to add is our powdered sugar. So go ahead and grab your powdered sugar bag, and we're going to need 3 cups of powdered sugar, which is a lot of sugar, but you do need that much to make sure that you have nice and soft, tasty frosting. So go ahead and grab your measuring cup that says 1 cup. Ask someone to help you find it if you can't find it, but look for the one that says 1 on it, and then I'll say cup. And we're gonna put 3 cups of powdered sugar into our bowl, but we're gonna do 1 cup at a time, because just like when we were adding our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients, if we added all of our powdered sugar at the same time, those 2 rules would still apply. 1, it wouldn't mix very well into our butter, and 2, we'd make a huge mess because there'd be too much dry ingredients in our bowl and it would fly out. So we're gonna do 1 cup at a time. So grab your cup, put it into your powdered sugar, get 1 cup of powdered sugar, and then you're going to put that into your bowl. You don't need to take it off of the stand if you're using a stand mixer. Just go ahead and find a way where you can get it all in there. And now we're going to turn it on to number 1. Don't turn it up any higher, otherwise you're going to have powdered sugar flying out of your bowl. So go ahead and turn on your mixer or your hand mixer, or if we're mixing by hand, you don't need to go too fast, and turn it on for about 2 minutes to make sure that all the powdered sugar that is in the bowl is as incorporated into the butter as it can be. Okay, so now that we've put our first cup in, you're gonna want to make sure that you see only a little bit of powdered sugar maybe left at the very bottom, but for the most part it is mixed in with your butter. And now we're gonna add our second cup. So grab your 1 cup measuring tool, put that into your powdered sugar, grab another 1 cup, go ahead and put that into your bowl. Now we're going to do the exact same thing. Go ahead and turn on your stand mixer just to number 1 for a little bit. And now this time, once you've turned on to number 1 for about a minute, you're going to move it up to number 3 for another minute, so that it really starts to incorporate all of that powdered sugar into your butter. So go ahead and turn it on to number 1 for a minute, and number 3 for another minute. Okay, so now that we put in our second cup, you should see most of the powdered sugar incorporate into the butter. Again, you might just see some powdered sugar sitting at the bottom of the bowl, and that's okay because we will get that up a little bit later. So now we're going to add our last cup into our mixture. So grab your 1 cup, put it into your powdered sugar, fill it all the way up, and now pour that into your bowl. And now we're going to do the same thing with our third cup that we did with our second, where we're going to put our mixer on number 1 or your hand mixer on number 1, or if you're hand mixing, do it slowly first. And then we're gonna move it up to number 3, but we're gonna do it for a little bit longer on number 3. So number 1 for your mixer, 1 minute, and then move it up to number 3, and you're gonna do that for 4 minutes on number 3 to make sure it really gets incorporated. So go ahead and turn on to number 1, and then move to number 3. Okay, so now that we have all of our powdered sugar in here, the next thing we're gonna add is our vanilla extract. So go ahead and grab your vanilla extract, take it out of the box, it is in the box, and we are going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So go ahead and look at your measuring spoons and find the one that has a number 1 and then the letters TSP, which stands for teaspoon. And that's the one we're going to use, and we want 2 of these that we're going to put into our mixture. So just like when we were making our batter, when you're using any sort of liquid, you need to make sure you're super careful because we don't want to spill it anywhere. So grab your 1 teaspoon, go ahead and put 1 teaspoon amount of vanilla extract in there, and then put it into your bowl, and then do 1 more, and put that into your bowl. And now we are going to mix all of this up together and only turn it on to number 1, and we're going to mix it for about a minute. Okay, so now that that is all incorporated, the last thing we're going to add is our heavy whipping cream, and we want 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream to start with. And the reason why I say to start with is because sometimes when you're making frosting, you have to add things in gradually, which means in small amounts, to make sure that you get the right texture of your frosting that you want. So we're going to start with only 2 tablespoons, and then we'll see if we have to add any more. So go ahead and look at your measuring spoons and find the one that has the number 1, and then it'll say TBSP, which stands for tablespoon. And we're going to put 2 of these into our mixture to start, and then see if we have to add any more. Go ahead and turn it on, but this time you're going to turn it on to number 3, and we're going to let that mix for about 2 minutes. Okay, so now that we let it mix for about 2 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to take it out of our bowl so we can scrape all the sides off before we might need to add in some more heavy whipping cream. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you get all the frosting out of your whisk. So if you're using a stand whisk, ask someone to help you. Take it off, and you're just going to tap it against the side of the bowl to get all the frosting out of your whisk. If you're using a hand mixer whisk, you're just going to tap your little whisks on the side of your bowl while they're still attached to your hand whisk mixer. And if you're just using a regular whisk, you can just tap that on the side of the bowl to get all the frosting out of your whisk itself. There we go, and then you can reattach it. Take your bowl out. Now go ahead and grab that spatula that we used earlier to help scrape the side of the bowls when we were doing the batter. Remember, it looks like this. It has a stick. Sometimes it's wood, sometimes it's rubber or plastic, and the top is just a rubber thin piece to help scrape the sides of our bowls. So you're going to start on whichever side you want and just go around your bowl, scraping the side to get all of the leftover butter and powdered sugar off the sides, and then slowly make your way down the bowl so that you can scrape up anything that might still be left on the bottom of your bowl, because sometimes powdered sugar likes to stay down at the very bottom. And then what you're going to do is you're sort of going to hand mix with your spatula a little bit by just scraping and mixing. Scrape and mix. I think that our frosting is pretty good, that we're not going to need any more heavy cream for this. So now that we have our frosting ready to go, our cupcakes are nice and cool, we are going to color our frosting. So I'm going to use 3 different colors for my frosting. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab 3 small bowls, or however many bowls or how many colors you're using. So I'm going to use the color yellow, purple, and pink. So those are the colors that I'm gonna use. You can use whatever colors you want to color your frosting. And you're gonna grab the amount of bowls you need, and we're just gonna separate our frosting out into the 3 bowls so that they have the same amount of frosting for each of our colors. So grab your spatula, get 1 little scoop of frosting and put that in the first bowl. Grab another scoop, put that in the second bowl, and then 1 more scoop, put that into the third bowl. So now what we're gonna do is add in our colors. So I have these little containers of food coloring, but sometimes you might have food coloring that comes in a little squirt pipette. Those are a lot easier to use, and if you have those, you're gonna put 2 little drops of your food coloring first, mix it all up, see what it looks like. If it's too light, you can add in more coloring, but always start with less, because less is more when it comes to coloring your frosting. Because if you put too much color in and it's too dark, you can't take it back out if you have no more white frosting. So put on only like 2 to start with, 2 little droplets, and then add more. But if you have what I have, which are the little tubs, I use a toothpick. So what I do is put the toothpick down into the coloring, pull that out, and then I just stick that straight into the frosting, like that. Now let's go ahead and do another color, so they're all ready to go. So there's my purple. Let's do the pink. And you're gonna do the same thing, dip the toothpick in, dip it into the frosting, get all of the coloring off. Now let's do the last one, which I'm gonna use yellow. Dip in your toothpick, dip it in your frosting, and get all the coloring on there. Okay, so now that you have all of your food coloring in your frostings, we need to mix them together. So I use small little spatulas like this. If you don't have a small spatula, you can just use a spoon. That works too. And you're gonna put it into your frosting and you're just gonna stir, stir, stir until all of the white disappears and you only see the color. So we're gonna stir this in. When you're stirring, make sure you use your spatula or your spoon to scrape the sides to get all of the frosting that goes up onto the side of your bowl. Keep going until all of the white is gone. There we go, just like that. And we're gonna do the same thing with our other small spatulas on our other 2 colors so that we are ready to put it onto our cupcakes. Okay, so now I have all of my frosting ready. I have my purple, my pink, and my yellow. So we're gonna move those to the side so I have space to start frosting my cupcakes. Now I'm gonna show you how to do it in 2 different ways because you might not have some of the materials that you might need to do it in a certain way. So the first way that I'm going to show you how to frost your cupcake is with a sandwich bag. So when I frost mine, I usually use a decorating bag, which looks like this. It's like a long triangle. But if you don't have decorating bags, that doesn't mean that you still can't decorate your frosting the same way that you would with a decorating bag. You would just use a sandwich bag. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is choose whatever color you want first, and you're gonna put that into your bag. So I'm gonna start with purple, and you use your spatula as your scoop, and you scoop it into your bag. And the easiest way to get it off of your spatula is to just scrape using your finger on the outside of the bag down. This way, it gets stuck in the bag. You're gonna put all of that frosting into your sandwich bag. Remember, use that spatula as a scrape to get everything off the side of the bowl. Put that in. Perfect. Now you're going to take some scissors. Okay, so you're going to grab some scissors, and what you're going to do is you're going to cut a little bit off of the corner of your sandwich bag. So right down here, the corner, we're going to just cut a little bit off of there. So take your scissors, go to the corner, and cut a little bit off. Just like that. And I'll come a little closer so you can see how much I took. But here's my sandwich bag. This is what it used to look like. And this is what it looks like now. A little slit like that. And that's what we're going to use as our hole to get our frosting out of our bag. So now that we've put our hole in there, you can go ahead and zip up the top of your bag so that no frosting comes out of the top when we're squeezing our bag. And now you're going to scrape all of your frosting down into that corner. So just on the outside of the bag, hold the top, push, 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 scrape it down until it gets into that corner of your bag. Just like that. So now go ahead and grab one of your cupcakes that are nice and cool and ready to put frosting on, because if they're too hot when we put the frosting on, the frosting will just melt because of all the butter that's in our buttercream frosting. So make sure they are cool and you can touch them and they don't feel warm at all. And now we're going to go ahead and put on our frosting. Now the easiest way to put on your frosting is to start in the middle of your cupcake and go round in circles all the way to the outside. So I'm going to show you how to do that with your sandwich bag. So you're going to hold your bag with your hand all around, put it in between your thumb and your pointer finger. So it's in your palm like that, and then you're just going to squeeze your hand together. So start in the middle, make a little dot, and then just go round in a circle until the whole cupcake is frosted. Just like that. So that's how you can frost with your sandwich bag. Another way that you can frost with this sandwich bag, which I will show you, is in little dollops. So this time you're going to start on the outside and you're just going to make little dots. One dot. And you're just going to keep going around your cupcake. And once you have all of the outside, you're going to go into the middle and do the same thing. Little dots. And now you have another way that you can frost your cupcake. So now that I've shown you how to frost a cupcake using a sandwich bag, if you have a decorating bag, I'm going to show you how to use this. So we're going to use a little piper, and we are going to use, it's a Wilton and it's 2D. And now the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to cut off the very tip of your decorating bag so that the end isn't covering the holes. That's what you want. Now to fill a pipe bag, the first step is to fold down the very top. So you're just going to fold it over like that. And then we're going to add in our next color. So the next color I'm going to use is pink. And we're going to do the same thing that we did to fill our sandwich bags. Grab your spatula, grab the frosting, stick it in, use your finger on the outside to slide off the frosting. There we go. And now you're gonna fold back up your bag. So it'll look like that. Now, just like we did with our sandwich bag, we're gonna push all of the frosting down to where the pipette is. Like that. There we go. So now grab another cupcake. And then this time we're gonna do the exact same thing that we did with our sandwich bag, is we're gonna start in the middle and we're just gonna swirl around. So again, put the top of the bag between your thumb and your index finger so it's in your hand like this, and you're just gonna put your fingers around and squeeze the bag together. So start in the middle and go around in a circle. Like that. Now I'm going to show you the other way, which is like what we did with the sandwich bag, is we're going to start on the outside and go inwards and just put little dots. So dot, dot, all the way around, one in the middle, and then you can have piping like that. So there you have it. That's how you can frost your cupcakes. Now you can add whatever kind of decoration you want. So sometimes I use sprinkles, sometimes I use little sugar candies. These are little sugar hearts. And you can just put that right on top of the frosting however you like, so you can put a little more decoration. So I hope you enjoyed making frosting and vanilla cupcakes with me today. These will be super cool treats for your mom or your aunt or your grandma on Mother's Day. So give that to any woman that you love and that's in your life, and I'm sure they will really enjoy them. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you again on Monday.